What happens when a ruthless billionaire and a kind village girl discover they share the same face? When CEO Tari arrives in a remote village, she's stunned when everyone mistakes her for a poor girl named Effe. Forced to impersonate her look-alike to secure a business deal, Tari has no idea that back in the city, the real Effe is living her life and forming a mysterious bond with the elderly office cleaner who may be their real mother. Subscribe now to follow this gripping story of switched identities and family secrets that will keep you watching until the shocking truth is revealed.
Tari Okuta sat at the head of a long, shiny table in her office on the top floor of a tall glass building. The room was so quiet you could hear the air conditioner humming. Around the table, her top managers sat perfectly still, their faces nervous. Tari was looking over a report, her sharp eyes moving quickly across the pages. She was a young woman who had lived a life of dreams, from the best schools in Europe to summer vacations in Paris and birthdays on a giant yacht. Her parents had given her everything. They loved her more than anything in the world. They loved her so much they could never bring themselves to tell her a big secret, that she was adopted. Tari had no idea. She believed she was their biological daughter, the proud heir to the Okuta Oil Company,
which her father had built from nothing. He had given it to her, and Tari felt a heavy need to make him proud, to prove she deserved to be his successor.
This made her strict, cold, and a no-nonsense boss. She demanded perfection, and her employees were afraid of her. "Explain this," Tari said, her voice cold and clear. "The numbers for this month are lower than I expected. Why?" Mr. Bolas swallowed hard. "Ma, the global market price for oil dropped slightly." "Excuses," Tari cut him off, her voice like ice. "I do not pay you for excuses. I pay you for results. If you cannot handle the pressure, there are many others who can sit in that chair." Mr. Bola lowered his head, his face red with shame. The other managers didn't dare to look at him.
Later, after the managers had left, Tari noticed something.
A small, almost invisible water stain on her expensive wooden desk. She pressed a button on her phone. "Amaka, come in here, now," she ordered.
A moment later, the door opened and
an old woman, Amaka, walked in slowly. She was the office cleaner, a gentle woman with kind eyes and rough hands. "You called, Madame Tari?" Amaka asked softly. Tari pointed at the tiny stain. "What is this? Is this how you clean my office? Do you think I enjoy looking at dirt?" "I am very sorry, madame," Amaka said quickly, her voice trembling a little.
"I will clean it right away." She moved forward with her cloth, but Tari was not finished.
"This is not the first time," Tari said, standing up and looking down at the older woman. "You're too old for this job. Your hands are shaky and your eyes are weak. If I see one more mistake, you will be looking for another job. Do you understand me?" Amaka could only nod, her eyes on the floor. "Yes, madame, I understand." "Good. Now get out," Tari said, turning her back to look out the window. Amaka quickly wiped the desk and left the room. Tari didn't see the hurt in the old woman's eyes. She only saw a problem that had been fixed. In her world, where she had everything, she had forgotten how to be kind. All she cared about was being strong enough to one day hear her father say, "You have made me prouder than I ever imagined." That was the heavy crown she carried every single day. A crown built on a secret she didn't even know existed.
Somewhere in a faraway village, the afternoon sun was harsh, beating down on the small village. Inside the community's local eatery, the air was heavy with heat and the smell of cooking oil. Effe, now in her late 20s, wiped her tired eyes as she scrubbed a large pot. Her friend Stella sat nearby, peeling yams for the evening meal. Their lives had been hard since they were young girls. Both came from very poor families who couldn't afford to send them to proper school. While other children learned to read and write, Effe and Stella learned to cook and clean at the eatery to survive. But Effe had always dreamed of something more. She remembered watching the university students who sometimes passed through the village, carrying their books and talking about big ideas. A deep hunger grew in her, not for food, but for knowledge. Stella, Effe said one afternoon, about 5 years back, showing her friend a faded brochure. Look at this. The institution in town offers distance learning. I can study while still working here. Stella had frowned. But where will we find the money? Our pay is barely enough for food. Effe had already made up her mind. I'll find a way, she said firmly. And she did. For 5 long years, Effe became a ghost of sacrifice. She volunteered for extra shifts, waking up before the chickens and working until the moon was high. When other workers rested, she took on their tasks for a few extra coins. She saved every tip, every bonus, every little extra she could get her hands on. Her adoptive parents, Mama and Papa Kofi, didn't understand her obsession. Why waste your money on books? Mama Kofi would complain. You should be saving for a proper husband. No man wants a wife who's always buried in papers. They had grown cold toward her after having their own son a few years later. We should never have adopted you. You're nothing but a burden. But Effe persisted. She studied by kerosene lamp late into the night after long days at the eatery. While her adoptive brother Kofi was given everything, new clothes, proper schooling, even a motorcycle, Effe made do with hand-me-downs and worn-out shoes. The struggle showed on her face. At 28, her hands were rough from work, her eyes often red from late-night studying. Yet she maintained a gentle, friendly personality that shone through every hardship, and there was a fire in her that nothing could extinguish. Just last month, that fire had been rewarded. Effe had received her business administration degree from the local university through the distance learning program. She had framed the certificate and hidden it under her bed, a secret victory that nobody in her family cared about. Today, as she and Stella took their break behind the eatery, Effe finally shared her bigger plan. I have my degree now, she whispered, but what good is it here? The only jobs in the village are at places like this. She gestured around the small eatery. Stella nodded sadly. It's true. Old man Adebayo would never hire a woman as a manager at his shop. Effe leaned closer. I've been saving again. All the money I didn't spend after finishing my degree, I've saved enough for a bus ticket to the city. Maybe there, someone will see my certificate and give me a chance. Stella's eyes widened with worry. The city is so big, Effe, and dangerous. What if something happens to you? What if nothing happens? Effe countered, her voice passionate. What if I stay here forever, growing old and tired in this same spot? That thought scares me more than any city danger. She touched the simple necklace she always wore, the only gift from the mother she never knew. This is my chance, Stella, my only chance. Stella looked at her brave friend, at the determination in her eyes that years of hardship couldn't dim. She squeezed Effe's hand tightly. Then you must go, she said, her voice thick with emotion. You've already proven you can do impossible things. Who would have thought a poor eatery worker could get a university degree? If you can do that, you can do anything. Tears streamed down Effe's face as she hugged her friend. In that moment, she felt both terrified and exhilarated. The city was unknown territory, but staying in the village meant accepting a life that was slowly crushing her spirit. She had fought too hard for her education to let it go to waste.
The Okuta family sat around the grand dining table, eating breakfast. Sunlight streamed through the large windows, catching the crystals in the chandelier above. Tari, looking sharp in her business suit, could barely contain her excitement. "Father, Mother," she began, her eyes shining. "I found something remarkable in the company reports yesterday. There's a village, Ibere, sitting on what our surveys show is one of the largest untapped oil deposits in the region. The locals don't even know its value. We can secure the land rights for a fraction of what it's worth." Her father, Mr. Okuta, put his fork down, his expression concerned. "Ibere? That is a very remote place, Tari. The terrain is difficult, and the people can be unpredictable. We should send a team to assess the situation first. No, Tari said firmly, a confident smile on her face. Sending a team will alert our competitors. If I go alone, quietly, I can negotiate directly with the village elders. I can present myself not as a big corporation, but as someone seeking a fair partnership. When I return with the signed deal, it will be the surprise of the year. Imagine their faces. She looked at her father, her heart swelling with the need to see pride in his eyes. Let me do this for you, for the company. Her mother reached out, placing a hand on Tari's. My dear, we are so proud of you already. Must you go yourself? It sounds dangerous. At least take security. Security will only scare them, Tari insisted. It has to be just me. I need to earn this on my own. Her tone left no room for argument. Seeing the determination in their daughter's face, her parents reluctantly gave their blessing, though worry lined their faces. Later, at the office, Tari's excitement made her impatient. She was reviewing the Ibere files when she noticed a faint smudge on her glass desk. She immediately buzzed for the cleaner. Amaka entered quietly, her cleaning supplies in hand. You called, Madam Tari? Does this look clean to you? Tari snapped, pointing at the nearly invisible mark. I expect perfection, especially today. I don't have time for sloppiness. Amaka's shoulders slumped. I am sorry, Madam Tari. I will fix it. She quickly wiped the spot and hurried out, the sting of the harsh words following her. Retreating to her small janitor's closet, Amaka sat on a low stool, the weight of her memories heavier than any bucket. The confrontation had taken her back to the darkest period of her life. She remembered her husband, a kind man with a bright smile, who had died in an accident when she was pregnant with their twins. The struggle to survive alone, the hunger, the fear, it was all a blur of pain. But she remembered the joy of holding her two beautiful baby girls for the first time. Through her tears of happiness, she had taken the precious necklace her husband had given her, a simple but unique piece, and fastened it around the neck of one of the infants, a twin token of the love they were born from. Then the unthinkable happened. A nurse at the local clinic, a cruel woman, had come to her a day later with a face of false grief. I am so sorry, the nurse had said. Your babies, they did not make it. Their little hearts were too weak. The world had shattered. The pain of losing her husband was now compounded by a loss so profound it hollowed her out.
She was left with nothing but a broken heart.
Meanwhile, on the dusty road at the edge of the village, Effe hugged Stella tightly. I will write to you as soon as I can, she promised, her voice thick with emotion. Be safe, Effe, Stella whispered, tears in her eyes. Find your future. With a deep breath, Effe climbed onto the old, rickety bus headed for the city. She found a seat by the window, clutching her small bag. Her fingers found the unique necklace around her neck, holding onto it like a lifeline. It was the only piece of her past, the only proof that she had once been loved by a mother she would never know. As the bus sputtered to life and pulled away, Effe looked out at the fading village of Ibere, her heart a mix of fear and soaring hope. She was leaving a life of hardship behind, clutching the necklace that was her only connection to a forgotten past, and heading toward the promise of the big city. At that very same moment, in her luxurious city office, Tari closed the file on the Ibere oil deal. A confident smile played on her lips as she finalized her solo trip to the remote village, a place she saw only as a business opportunity and a stepping stone to her father's praise. In a quiet, painful twist of fate, the two sisters were moving in opposite directions. Effe was journeying toward the world of wealth and power Tari took for granted, while Tari was traveling toward the humble, struggling origins Effe was desperately trying to escape. Their lives were about to be turned upside down, not by meeting each other, but by stepping into each other's shoes, completely unaware that the stranger everyone would mistake was their own twin. The bus ride felt like it took a lifetime. When Effe finally stepped out into the bus park in the big city, the wave of sound and movement hit her like a physical force. Towering buildings scraped a sky that seemed grayer than the one back home. For a long moment, she stood frozen, her small bag held tightly to her chest, overwhelmed by a fear so sharp it made it hard to breathe. With the last of her courage, she found a guest house with a flickering neon sign. The room was a tiny, airless box with a single bare bulb, but it was hers. She locked the door, sat on the thin mattress, and cried silent tears of exhaustion and terror. She could only hope coming to the city wasn't a wrong choice. The next morning, hunger and determination forced her out. She walked for hours, her feet aching, asking for directions to areas where she might find work. As she passed by a towering modern glass skyscraper with OKT oil emblazoned on its side, a uniformed security guard at the entrance did a double take. The guard blinked in disbelief, straightening quickly. "Good morning, Madam Tari," he said, his voice trembling with respect. "I almost didn't recognize you, ma'am. You're, on foot today? Is everything all right?" Effe was taken aback. I am sorry. You have mistaken me for someone else. My name is Effe." The guard's smile faded. "Oh, I'm terribly sorry, ma'am," he stammered, stepping back politely and confused. "It's just you look exactly like someone from this building." He gave an awkward nod, still staring in disbelief as she walked away. Later, she noticed a help wanted sign hanging in the window of a small, tidy eatery. Summoning her courage, Effe stepped inside and approached the counter where a serious-looking man in his 40s was going through a ledger. "Good afternoon, sir. I'm looking for work. I can do anything. I'm a hard worker," she said. The man looked up and froze. His pen slipped from his fingers. "Madam Tari?" he blurted, blinking rapidly. "Is that really you? What brings you here? Is this some kind of surprise inspection?" Effe frowned in confusion. "No, sir, you're mistaken. My name is Effe. I'm from Billionaire village. I just need a job." The manager studied her face in disbelief, rubbing his chin. "You mean to tell me you're not Tari Okuta, the Billionaire CEO?" He gave a short, incredulous laugh, shaking his head. "You could be her twin. I've never seen such a resemblance in my life." He hesitated for a moment, then sighed. "Well, whoever you are, you seem honest, and I do need help around here. The customers are growing, and I can't afford to be picky." He handed her a small apron. "You start tomorrow morning. Don't be late, Miss Effe, was it?" Effe nodded quickly, relief washing over her. "Yes, sir. Thank you, sir." As she stepped outside, a group of young, fashionable girls seated at a table near the entrance noticed her. Their chatter stopped, replaced by gasps and whispers. "Oh my God, that's her. That's Tari Okuta. Why is she dressed like that? Is it for a movie? Maybe she lost all her money." Effe heard them and hurried her steps, the name Tari Okuta echoing in her mind. Who was this woman, and why did she share her face? Effe was relieved she quickly found a job, all thanks to the mysterious girl named Tari, whose face seemed to open doors for her. The next day, a well-dressed businessman who frequently saw Tari Okuta at high-profile events came in for a quick lunch. When Effe brought him his order, he did a double take, nearly spilling his water. "Miss Okuta?" he said, his voice a mixture of confusion and awe. "Tari, what are you doing here?" Effe offered a polite, tired smile. "I'm sorry, sir. You have the wrong person. My name is Effe."
The man was too stunned to argue, but as he left, he immediately got on his phone. The unbelievable gossip began to spread like wildfire through his social circles. You won't believe this, but I just saw Tari Okuta working in a roadside eatery in the old part of town. Later, as Effe wiped down a table, she noticed a few customers staring at her, their eyes filled with surprise and curiosity, as if they knew her from somewhere. One of them even whispered something to another, and they both turned to look again. A strange unease settled in her chest, and she quickly lowered her head, pretending not to notice, though her heart beat faster with every glance that followed her. On her way home that evening, a sleek black luxury car pulled up beside her. The rear window slid down, and a woman peered out. "Tari, darling, we saw the rumors online and thought it was a joke. Is everything all right? Do you need a ride?" Effe shook her head, clutching her worn-out bag. "No, thank you. I am not Tari." She quickly crossed the street and disappeared into the crowd, her heart pounding. Who was this Tari, and why did the whole city seem to think she was her? Meanwhile, at the Okuta mansion, the rumor had spread fast. A friend had sent Mrs. Okuta a blurry video of Effe cleaning tables with a message that said, "Is this your daughter? Everyone is talking." Mrs. Okuta's hand shook as she showed her husband. "Charles, look, it's Tari. She's in the city working in a restaurant. This is why she hasn't called us from Ibere. She never went. She's been here all along." Mr. Okuta's face felt with guilt. "She must have found out she was adopted," he said softly. "She's hurt, and this is her way of reacting. She's pretending to be someone else because she feels betrayed." Mrs. Okuta's tears filled her eyes. "We should have told her the truth. We were just afraid she'd leave us. She's still our daughter, our everything. We must find her and make things right before it's too late."
The journey to Iberi village was long and bumpy. Tari had chartered a sturdy SUV, which was now covered in red dust. As she looked out at the simple houses and farmlands, she felt a thrill. This was her chance to prove herself. She would secure this oil deal and make her father prouder than ever. She arrived and checked into the only guest house in the village. It was simple, with just a bed and a fan, but it was clean. After dropping her bag, she decided to take a walk to see the village. She hadn't gone far when a small boy ran up to her, looking confused. "Auntie Effe, you are back," he said. "My sister is waiting for you. You promised to come and braid her hair for the festival. Why are you wearing shoes like a rich person?" Tari stared at him. "Little boy, you are mistaken. I do not know you, and I do not braid hair." Her voice was harsh and commanding. The boy looked hurt and ran away. She walked towards the small local market. A woman selling tomatoes called out to her, "Effe, my daughter, welcome. Come, buy your usual tomatoes. And how are your parents doing?" Tari frowned. "I am not Effe. I do not need tomatoes." Word began to spread quickly. "Effe is back," people whispered, "but she is acting strange. She's dressed in expensive clothes and is driving a big car. She is even denying her name." The news reached Effe's adoptive parents, Mama and Papa Kofi, in their home. "Have you heard?" a neighbor asked them. "Your Effe is at the guest house. She looks like $1,000,000, but she is telling everyone she is not Effe." Mama Kofi scoffed. "Nonsense. That girl is just playing games. She will soon run out of money and come back home with her tail between her legs. Then she will explain where she got those fine clothes." They decided not to go looking for her. They were sure she would come to them when she was ready. The next day, during a meeting with the village elders about the newly discovered oil and her company's interest in buying the land, things didn't go as Tari expected. The elders listened politely, but soon shook their heads. "We appreciate your offer," the oldest one said, "but we'd rather deal with someone from our own community. This land belongs to our ancestors, and we cannot sell it to a stranger." Tari tried to explain the benefits, but their minds were made up. They saw her confidence as arrogance and her polished city tone as disrespect. Disappointed and hurt, Tari left the meeting quietly. Back in her small hotel room, she sat on the edge of the bed, staring at her notes. For the first time, she didn't know what to do next. The frustration of the day was a bitter taste in Tari's mouth. The laughter, the constant calls of Effe, the sheer refusal of the villagers to see her for who she was, it was maddening. She reached for her phone, desperate to hear her father's voice and feel connected to her real life. Her pockets were empty. A frantic search of her bag and the chartered SUV confirmed her fear. Her phone was gone, probably fallen out during one of those irritating encounters. A cold wave of isolation washed over her. She was truly stranded, cut off from her power, her family, and her identity. As she sat on the edge of the simple bed, a new thought began to cut through her panic. These people were not listening to Tari Okuta, CEO, but they were obsessed with this Effe person. The elders see her as a stranger, and the locals think she was an indigent Effe. Their insistence was more than a simple mistake. It was a key. If she kept fighting it, she would get nowhere. Her deal would fail, and her father would never get his surprise. But if she used it, if she became Effe, even for a short while, she could gain their trust. It was a strategic move, the only one she had left. She wondered where Effe was. Did she travel? A knock at the door broke through her thoughts. It was Mama and Papa Kofi, their faces hard and suspicious. "Daughter," Papa Kofi said sharply, "this silence is enough. What's going on? All these fine clothes, the car, and now you're denying your own name?" Tari looked up at them, her mind spinning. These people were so sure she was their daughter, this Effe. Who was this girl who shared her face, and why did they treat her with so much anger and resentment? Still, Tari knew she had to play along if she wanted to get anywhere. She took a deep breath and softened her voice. "Papa, Mama, I am sorry for my behavior. I've just been under a lot of pressure. I got a new job and I have an opportunity that could bring real development to this village, but I need your help to speak with the elders." Mama Kofi folded her arms, unmoved. Papa Kofi's eyes narrowed, studying her carefully. For a moment, silence filled the room, until Tari quietly slipped a folded bundle of cash onto the table. His expression changed instantly. He coughed, straightened up, and said gruffly, "If it's for the good of the village, then fine. I will take you to the elders tomorrow." Tari forced a small smile, hiding her disgust. She knew what really convinced him. It wasn't belief or support, but the sight of money. Still, it didn't matter. For now, she had what she needed. Tari felt a flicker of victory. She had lost her phone, but she had found a path forward. She would wear the name Effe like a disguise, all while searching for the truth behind the face she saw in the mirror. A face that apparently belonged to two completely different women.
Meanwhile in the city, a sleek black luxury car, so shiny it looked wet, pulled up in front of the eatery. It was the kind of car rarely seen in that part of the city. The doors opened, and a distinguished, well-dressed couple stepped out. It was Mr. and Mrs. Okuta. The entire street seemed to freeze. Customers in the eatery stopped eating to stare, and the manager's eyes nearly popped out of his head. Effe was clearing a table when she felt the silence. She looked up and saw the couple walking straight towards her. Her breath caught in her throat. They looked powerful and kind, and their eyes were fixed on her with a deep, heartbreaking sadness. "Tari," Mrs. Okuta said, her voice trembling as she reached for Effe's hands. "Please come home. We are so sorry." Mr. Okuta's eyes were also glistening. "We should have told you the truth about your adoption," he said, his voice low and earnest. "We were just so afraid. We didn't want to lose you. You are our daughter. It doesn't matter how you came to us. Please, let us make this right." The word adoption hit Effe like a lightning bolt. Adoption. These rich, important people were talking about adoption. They thought she was their adopted daughter.
A wave of shock and understanding washed over her. This was the connection. This was why she looked like their daughter. They were all connected by the same secret. She looked at their pleading faces. They were begging her, a poor village girl, to come home. Telling them the truth, that she was just a stranger, felt like it would crush them. And deep down, a powerful curiosity ignited. If she went with them, she might finally learn about her own past, about the mother who left her with only a necklace. The manager, seeing the scene, quickly came over. "Madame, sir," he said nervously, then turned to Effe. "What are you waiting for? Go with your parents. This is a blessing. Go." That was the final push. Effe looked at the kind, grieving faces of the Okutas and then nodded slowly. "Okay," she whispered. I will come home." Mrs. Okuta hugged her tightly, sobbing with relief. Mr. Okuta let out a deep breath of gratitude. They led her gently to the waiting car, shielding her from the staring crowd. As the luxurious car pulled away from the dusty street, Effe looked out the window, watching the familiar world fade behind her. Each turn of the wheel felt like a step into the unknown. She was heading into a life that wasn't hers, a mansion, a family, and a name that belonged to someone else. Her palms were damp, her heart racing. What if they discovered she wasn't Tari? What if she said the wrong thing or acted the wrong way? Yet beneath the fear stirring in her chest was a quiet spark of hope that somewhere within this strange new world, she might finally uncover who she truly was.
The Okuta mansion was a world of incredible luxury that left Effe unable to speak. The marble floors shone under huge crystal lights, and expensive art hung on the walls. Even though she was overwhelmed, her business degree helped her. She watched everything carefully, noticing how the staff worked. At dinner, she was served a fancy foreign dish. Effe smiled and said, "This looks amazing, but I would like something simpler tonight, like rice and stew." The chef was shocked, but Effe was politely firm. Mrs. Okuta whispered to her husband, "She is rejecting our ways. Finding out she was adopted has upset her deeply." That night, Effe couldn't sleep. She lay in the huge, soft bed, watching the light from the chandelier play on the ceiling. The mansion was too quiet, and the silence felt heavy on her chest. Her mind was racing. She wanted to tell the truth, to say she wasn't their daughter, Tari, and end the lie. But a feeling inside told her to wait. She had a reason. If the Okutas had adopted Tari and she looked exactly like Tari, there had to be a connection, a secret. Maybe they were sisters, maybe even twins. If that was true, then this house and these people were linked to her past. They could answer the questions that had always haunted her. Why was I abandoned? Why was I never loved? Her heart ached. The answers felt close. So she decided. She would keep pretending to be Tari for now. Not to steal Tari's life, but to find her own. But one worried thought stayed with her. Where was the real Tari? Why hadn't she come back from the village? Why couldn't anyone contact her? Effe felt uneasy, but pushed the worry away. She needed to stay calm. She got out of bed and started looking through Tari's things. She opened drawers and looked at photo albums and journals. Every page showed a life Effe had never had. There were pictures of birthday parties full of laughter, family vacations, and loving notes from parents. Tari had been raised with warmth and love. Effe's throat felt tight. She wasn't jealous, just sad. She longed to understand why her own life had been so hard and lonely. She didn't take anything. She just looked, observed, and remembered. Then she sat on the bed holding an open journal. Tomorrow, she would smile again. She would act like Tari and live this life of comfort. But behind that smile, she would be searching, quietly and patiently, for the truth about who she really was. Every day was a new challenge. Effe moved through the grand Okuta mansion like she was in a strange dream. The beautiful rooms and hallways seemed to remind her she didn't belong. She got lost twice, and the staff had to help her find her way. At work, it was even harder. She didn't know how to drive the expensive car, so a driver took her. In meetings, people talked about old projects she knew nothing about. She struggled with the complicated coffee machine and once called an important partner by the wrong name. Chief and Mrs. Okuta watched their daughter with worry. They whispered at night, "She has forgotten so much. The shock has confused her." Their hearts hurt for her, and they treated her with even more love and patience, hoping it would help her remember. At work, Effie had a secret advantage: her business education. She didn't know the company's past, but she understood business. When she saw a complex report, she could analyze the numbers. She could structure a proposal and find weak spots in a contract. Her smart questions were different from Tari's bold style, but they earned quiet respect from some employees. The biggest change people saw was in how she treated others, especially the office cleaner, Amaka. The older woman whom Tari was always mean to became a comfort to Effe. One day, Effe saw a manager shouting at Amaka for a small mistake. Without thinking, Effe stepped in between them. "Stop," she said, her voice firm but kind. "Mistakes happen. You will treat her with respect." The manager was too surprised to speak. This kindness from the boss was new. Effe began inviting Amaka into her office for short breaks, asking for her thoughts on small things. To Effe, this felt natural. It was the opposite of how her own adoptive parents in the village had treated her, with constant unkindness and reminders that she was a burden. With Amaka, she felt a warm, real connection like the family she never had. She was making mistakes, yes, but her business knowledge was helping her play the part of CEO, and her kind heart was slowly changing the company in unexpected ways, all while holding on to the one person who really made her feel safe, the motherly cleaner who looked at her with growing curiosity and care.
Tari walked into the small local eatery where Effe used to work. The air smelled of spices and fried food. It was nothing like the fancy restaurants she knew, but she didn't mind. She was happy and satisfied after a successful day. Her meeting with the village elders had gone well. Mr. Kofi's presence had helped. He confirmed she was a local, which was all the elders needed to hear to approve the land deal. The terms were fair, even better than she had hoped. But during the meeting, she had felt uneasy. Mr. Kofi kept staring at her. It wasn't a warm, fatherly look. It was cold and curious, like he was trying to solve a puzzle. She didn't feel safe around him. She owed her success to Effe, a girl she had never met but who shared her face. Tari smiled to herself. If only Effe knew her identity had helped secure a multi-million naira deal. One day, Tari decided she would find her and thank her. She sat by the window, ready to relax. Soon, she would leave the village. Her mission was complete. She couldn't wait to tell her father in person and see his proud face. Her phone was still missing, but she pushed the worry aside. For now, she just wanted to eat and think. But as she sat, she noticed people in the cafe were staring. Not quick glances, but full, direct stares. The waitress froze when she saw her. A man pointed and whispered to his friend. Someone dropped a cup. Tari felt uncomfortable but pretended not to notice. Why were they looking at her like that? She had no idea that a girl who looked exactly like her had worked there just days before. "Are you going to pretend you don't know us again?" Stella's sharp voice asked. "Even me, your best friend? Just a few days in the city and we don't matter anymore?" Tari was surprised. Another case of mistaken identity. She was tired of being seen as someone else. All she wanted was to be herself. "Hi," Tari said with a polite smile. "I know you think I'm Effe, but I'm not. I don't know who she is or where she went. Maybe you should try calling her." Her tone was final. She took a sip of her drink. Stella stood still, her confidence fading into confusion. The girl in front of her had Effe's face, but her posture, her clothes, her voice, everything felt different. Embarrassed, Stella took a step back. "Sorry, my mistake," she mumbled and started to walk away. "Hey," Tari called out. Stella turned back. "My name is Tari," she said, her voice calm but curious. "Maybe you could tell me about this girl, Effe. Everyone, even her parents, think I'm her. This is more than just looking alike. Where is she?" Stella hesitated, then sat down. "You really are not Effe, right?" Tari shook her head. "No, I am not, and I've never met her. But since I came to this village, everyone sees her when they look at me." Stella took a deep breath. "Effe was my best friend. She worked here. She was kind and quiet, but strong. Life was hard for her. Her parents treated her badly. They always made her feel like she didn't belong." "She was adopted?" Tari asked. Stella nodded. "Yes, she always felt like something was missing, like her real family was out there." Tari frowned. "That's strange."
"But you look exactly like her," Stella insisted. "When I saw you, for a second, I forgot she was gone." Tari sighed. "You're not the only one. I came here for business, not for this." Effe left in secret. She was tired of being treated poorly. She wanted to find the truth about where she came from. "Did she tell you where she was going?" Tari asked. "No, she just said it was time to leave." Tari thought for a moment. "I don't know who this girl is, but she changed everything without even knowing it. I owe her a lot." Meanwhile, Papa Kofi was watching. He saw how this Effe showed off her wealth, ignored her family, and was now preparing to leave with millions from the land deal. Anger burned inside him. "After all we did for her, adopting her, giving her a home, this is how she repays us?" he snapped. "She will get richer and leave us with nothing." A wicked plan formed in his mind. He gathered some of his friends. "That is our daughter," he told them. "She is using our name to get rich. We will not let her sign those papers and walk away. We will hold her. We will force her to give us our share of the money, even if we have to lock her up and threaten her." And so the twins remain trapped in each other's worlds, with Effe in the city standing on the verge of discovering the truth as she feels an unexplainable connection to Amaka, the cleaner who holds the key to their past, while Tari faces danger in the village where her successful deal has made her a target of Papa Kofi's greed. But their separate struggles are about to collide in part 2, where the secret of the necklace will be revealed, the truth of their birth will come to light, and the real Tari will return to find her home transformed by her sister's kindness, forcing everyone to confront the shocking reality of their tangled fates. Subscribe now and turn on notifications so you don't miss the emotional conclusion where family secrets explode, hearts are tested, and a divided family finally learns what it truly means to be whole.